Yo.
Oh, wow, look. Okay, cool. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool, cool. I'll get Mikey on. Is that all right?
Yeah. Sure.
All right, cool, cool.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Ugh. What happened with you?
Last night? Nah, my fucking phone died.
No, I figured the phone died last night, but this morning you were like, I was on with you, and you were like, call. I was calling you, and then just I heard nothing.
No, this morning? Nah. I
Yeah.
told you I was gonna hit you up in an hour, but then I passed out again.
You passed out. Oh, you passed out. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Hmm.
No, because like I was on right on with you, and then you're like, and then like I called you, and
So what's up?
yeah. That's
You
Oh
want to
yeah, I
start
was probably half asleep then.
start the call or what?
Hmm. That's how it was. Yep, that's probably what it was.
what was?
You were communicating with me, and I was half asleep, so I wasn't even in
Oh.
my right mind.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Cool. Oh.
Yep.
So. Yeah. When can we get in the class, yo? Just
When are you ready?
whenever you guys start.
All right, so you wanted me to do a presentation for some group of people, right?
Yeah. I figure that was the agreement that.
So you wanted to start your own block. That's that's what you need, right? Like you need your own team trained.
No. I believe the original agreement was like you were saying we could get in on the classes. We'll put a review on Jackie Fig's uh, site, and then we get you in on a call so you can do a presentation. So that way you can get leads or whatever.
Right. Right. Okay, so yeah, and then we spoke about that a few months ago, right?
Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah, like three,
Hmm.
2 3 months ago, something like that, maybe.
So Jackie, remember Jackie had that situation happen, and then Boris. You know what I'm saying? So they
Uh,
did that.
I'm
Yeah, like I got.
I don't know what happened. What do you mean?
Okay, so like exactly what you were supposed to do. You know Boris, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. So what I offered to you, like I offered it to him too. And so he rounded up a bunch of people. So if we were to do a group, we could do your own group. That's mandatory for like about a month to 2 months until you guys catch up to speed. And then like you can still sit in on everybody else's stuff. Does that make sense?
Everybody else's stuff. What do you mean? What's that?
Yeah. So I have multiple classes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they kind of fused. Like each different class, they fused. Even though they're in different I guess like levels, if you wanted to say that. It's like having like a white belt with like your green belts. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They're all practicing the same katas. Yeah.
I like that better
Okay.
anyway.
Okay. Well, here's what happened. Everybody caught up to speed because instead of me doing one class for 3 groups at 3 different times, I did 3 classes for the 3 groups at the 3 different times. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. It seems more efficient,
So
right?
more participation.
Yeah.
I don't, you know what I mean? I don't neglect or negate anybody trying to further participate.
Right.
So your time slot actually adds on to me doing the same amount of hours I would if you guys were having individual classes, only that you guys get access to each other's class. So you could get up to 4 hours. So
Okay.
they're 3 times as fast right now.
Yeah, that'd be cool now.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, what do you think, Mikey? You're just what do you think?
Well, I was just listening. Well, what's gonna happen? So what do you think?
Here's the director. All right, so look, I don't have a problem doing anything with you guys. You know that. Just what you call it? Try to get like if it's like a few of you guys like together, right? So that you guys at least have like a buddy team system going on, respectively between each other, and that you're not just sitting there like lost in the sauce, dumped off in the deep end, right? So now you get your own little pocket of newbies, right? Set that up. Doesn't have to be a whole bunch of people. Just has to be at least 5. There are always teams of 5, okay? And then that'll be your own slot for the day, which will cover an hour, 9 months of training. And then eventually you'll just mesh in with everybody else and you'll be having everybody help each other and stuff like that. Because all the trustees help each other in every class. Does that make sense? So it's a big melting pot of info. The only thing is that all the information is obviously referenced to something I gave you, a situation in your life, and everybody in real time is just watching how everybody's defeating their stuff in real life.
So they're like testimonies of guys who are using it and seeing success with it and stuff.
Hell yeah, yeah. We have wins in the class. They witnessed it already.
Yeah, Mikey.
Yeah. You want me to put people on right now?
Sure.
You want me to call somebody?
Okay.
Stand by.
Sure.
I'm going to call Boris right now.
Oh,
he's the one that's
Boris.
Oh, call him, please.
Yo,
I've been trying to talk to that guy for a while. Sure.
All right. Give me a second.
Yep.
Hey, but before I hook you guys up, hey, it's not adverse though, right? Like right now, like I don't want it to be negative and shit.
No. I just miss talking to him, man. I love Boris.
All right, stand by.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get a hold of him actually. He just hasn't.
Yeah, he's just freaking busy. He's probably doing like 4 or 5 classes a day or whatever.
There's Boris. Mikey from freaking Jersey, but it's Batman actually.
Okay.
Yeah. There's other guy. What's your name again?
Go by
Let
Dominic.
me see it.
Hey, what's up, Boris?
Dominic.
What's up, dude?
Hey.
Okay.
Hey, how the fuck you been?
So what can I do?
Hey, Boris, can you just let me know what your experience is?
Right, well, so far, the experience we've had is we took one of the concepts he was teaching, and we threw it into a criminal case for a vet that was going on, where they're trying to go after him after they suspended his license, just harassing him.
Yeah.
And I did the minimum contacts, and just took the statutes, showed where the Congress the legislature established the authority of the statutes, and that they had failed to determine this by their own evidence, by their own words. And
offensive, yet clear cut, like an acute challenge to the jurisdiction.
Yeah, and this guy had shown up in court. He was, they have everything that you show up in court, they have jurisdiction. Wrong answer. Because this guy had shown up about 4 or 5 times. We were going through the thing. He was standing his ground, not giving in to stuff, questioning when he had to. And we hit him with this. And, they immediately dismissed it with nolo prosecute, and then shook his hand afterward. And then the judge actually told him that, hey man, you know your rights. And yeah, and that's what we had with that one. And then I guess just recently when they put in another cease and desist notice on him for the trademark stuff, that the Department of Labor dropped its criminal case that they were trying to pursue against him.
All right, let me just chime in here real quick. So check it out. I'm going to go ahead and fluff it out just a little bit more, just so that the shit makes like a little bit more like sense. Because I just woke up, so that I have a delay. Like I'm still here foggy in my brain. Like I have a delay. But once I start hearing people, and then I'm like, okay, he's missing that, missing this, missing that. I go into correction mode. All right, so.
You know you could do it in your sleep. You know you can do it in your sleep, Raymond.
Right, I can. Yeah, I can do it drunk too. I've done it out of a drunk tanker.
I believe it.
Look, here's the deal. So pretty much, the party that was on the call, right, got remedy after Boris only spent 3 of his class hours, pretty much. So 3 days of studying. Boris, with his experience and with what I presented, because I give it complete, meaning the concept, the Supreme Court precedences, how it applies to the jurisdiction that you're in, as well as how it applies federally, as well as how it may apply when there's diversity situations. Because the sources that I give, although they're not like, I don't know, for the concept that he was talking, they're not 50,000 pages long. It's more like,
it was a paragraph.
Right. It's one paragraph. But the way that I teach things and the sources that I use, it's clear cut. Everything's a fucking bullet. Every concept is weaponizable on its face. And I'm throwing it on the table. So when you leave the class, if you just listened in the class and employed maybe just the concept of the day, you're not going to have a failure or a misfire. You're going to have a 100% kill rate behind the fucking concept. And that's what Boris proved, because I didn't tell him to go weaponize it. What he did was he saw it. He said, holy shit, he just threw up a fucking case of ammunition and employed it, shot at the fuckers with a pen, and they realized that they didn't have proper minimum contacts, meaning there wasn't a proper establishment by statute and the respective party, along with due process, to enforce the penal system for the respective claim that the state was bringing. So just a concept argument, and he fucking blew out. They were felonies, right?
Well, yeah, it was. They were going to do. They interrupted. There's going to be one felony for every appointment in his book, so it was like 300 felonies.
Right.
300
so that
felonies?
guy was fucking. Yeah, they were going to send him a.
Yeah, they do it. They screwed this guy over really bad. They were getting after him because of his practices with staying and neutering were undercutting everybody else, but he just wanted to get it done as a public service. Everybody took it personal because it was dipping into their pocketbooks, and he's got lines of people at his place. I've never seen a veterinarian office like this.
Huh.
But they raked him over the calls. They raked him over the calls. Finagled his license out from underneath him while he was in appeals. He didn't know that he had to tell him that he was in appeals, so they wouldn't do it. So there's this like overlap area. So they couldn't go after him normally, so they went in the overlap area, and they violated all kinds of constitutional rights. They come in with the officers and everything else without warrants, and I mean it's all fiasco. But that was what they were doing. They were going out there, and they got his address, his book, and as he was doing his work, they're saying each one of those was a separate charge. So he had like 300 of them or whatever over that period of time.
Wow.
300 counts.
I don't know how many, but it was a lot. That dude is busy as fuck.
So he was doing it for free. He was offering for free, and he was offering it as a charity, like free service or something. And
no, $30, $35 pay and neuter. Everybody else in here is offered 300.
Right. Okay.
All right. So look.
I mean, it's just a bunch of shit.
Right.
Look. You got an individual practicing medicine without the proper standing in the state wise okay, and he's giving this service, monetizing the fuckers, okay, with fucking, I don't know, second coming of Christ fucking church sermon lines, okay, and they were going to make them pay for it. But he challenged the jurisdiction with the concept out of the third day that he was around me, and that shit fucking destroyed. And that's how it's supposed to be. And what the cool thing about it was is that what Boris did was is that he established a conflict of torts, meaning that, okay, you're saying I'm wrong doing this, but you haven't even established one, the nexus of the comity and reciprocity. I mean, you haven't even made the connection, the proper judicial connection to fucking even ping me with that statute. So no sticky tape, fucker. And then inherently, while you did that, you created this scenario, which the scenario was described as what the hell I was talking to you about last night. He just took the words out of my mouth and put it on a fucking motion and let him know the liability. I mean, I said, oh, that's it. I fucking got a woody, and I was like, well, that's gay. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, that looks like me. Woo! And then, you know what? Hold on. You know what? I didn't know that the party had 2 different prosecutions regarding that matter, and they were just attacking it from 2 different angles, but the same act. So the Department of Labor of the state fucking called up 1-800, hey, prosecutor, this is in the public interest. Go ahead and try to crucify him. And he was undergoing another criminal case. They didn't tell me any of this. The party who got the relief, I didn't even know that he was being unfucked by the class while he was being unfucked by the class. So every day I came in, I would just come in and do my stuff, and then Boris would be like, hey, we had another win. Yeah, here's what happened. Here's the other aspect. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-mm.
And that means that that's without my direct supervision. Does that mean, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, that must have been nice to see.
That guy. I mean, it took a load, and it just took a load off him because he was worried about it. And you could tell, and you know, and it was a big serious. I mean, it was screwed up, man. I mean, that's a huge thing. He would spend his natural life in jail, the rest of his life, and that's just wrong because of who he is and what he does.
Yeah, and it's all because he was given goldfish catheters.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So here's the deal. Boris was able to help a quiet individual in class with what was just presented on face value. Period. It means the shit speaks for itself. If you realize what you're looking at, you got the Midas touch. You got Thor's mouth. But the thing about the classes is that we don't just get a win and say, see, it worked. Oh, no. This is an evolution. Which means that there's a wide range of knowledge that you're supposed to master. So winning is just like for a UFC fighter what a six-pack would be. It's a byproduct of the effort. He's not a bodybuilder. Okay? What he's really trying to do is gain enough momentum with enough stamina for explosive power, high interval training, so that he could fucking launch himself at you. There's many different ways and problem solve you and your ability to survive. That's what we're doing in our class.
So it basically sounds like
right?
It sounds like the difference, like maybe the bad approach is more like judo, whereas this is more like Jeet Kune Do.
It's more like this. Look, I don't care how many backflips them fuckers do. Okay, we'll incinerate them from the skies. Do you know what I mean? All their fucking karate, all that shit goes nowhere when you got a freaking Jaden missile cracking you. You don't even see where it's coming from. They're just kind of just shooting.
Here's what I view it as. It's the other half of the Batman method.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah, the missing.
You guys are stuck. Everybody's stuck on claimant. Who's to claim? Where to claim? We were there too. Sit down and listen to what he says. Give him 3 or 4 days, hours, just listen to it. And if you don't start seeing it, walk away. Because that's when you should see it, after about 3 days.
I saw it the
I
first
saw
day,
it within
man.
the first moments of listening to him. I saw it within the first moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Same.
and now we're applying it. Now we're actually doing it. So it's still, you don't mess up with who's the claim, but now they're fucking with you over it. Okay, fine. You never had one. Now it goes into the golden rule when you just violated it. That's the whole violation of the trademark. It has nothing to do with the names or anything else. It's the purpose and meaning behind it. The golden rule is what you're really enforcing. Every name is just a placeholder. If you took Boris Roger Erickson, it'd be the golden rule. There's no difference. There's no difference.
That's all it comes up to. That's it. That's right. That's all it is. And from the way you're explaining it, Boris, see, I can imagine being Dominic, because he's probably like, I get that there's something here. I can see after talking to Raymond what the hell was going on. But the only thing that's probably sticking out of Dominic's head is two things. One, did you try it? Two, I'm hearing a confirmation it worked. Not once, twice. For what? Multiple counts.
Yep.
That's all everybody cares about. Point of aim, point of impact.
Yep.
Well, I'm telling you, you'll be able to aim from weird angles.
But it is, man. I mean, if you keep it at that principle where if they don't answer who's the claimant or where's the claim and all that other stuff, then at that point they just violated the golden rule. It's over.
Right. And you'll know.
This right here is the wrath of the Lord coming down upon them.
Right.
Well, you would say it's like that, right? And it's proved to be that effective if the whole judicial system over the same matter, attacking it from two different opinions and routes, right? Failed because of the same type of weak defense. Does that make sense?
I believe it makes sense, and I agree. Within the first few moments that I've heard the premises of it alone, I was just like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's just basically, it instead of it just being one facet or half, like you were saying, it's the full circle of the entire possibilities that you can account for.
That's right.
Yeah, that
everything you're hoping for.
Because the thing is, even in the bad approach, like if you do all this stuff and they don't want to do their job, maybe you have some recourse by going up the ladder, but
you have to nudge them.
Yes.
You have to nudge them.
Yeah, exactly. You got to like put in these little liabilities or suggestions of this where it could go as considerations for them.
That's right.
Yes.
And the thing about it is that when they see what our defense is predicated on, or the situation that can be created, they can foresee that they won't be able to recover from.
Right.
It's that precise, the trade secret that they're learning.
Yeah.
That's what
because
interests me is that I like that part is that they do self-correction real quick on the level of like a trust or like basically an irrevocable private trust.
They do because they won't survive it once they get where you're going with it.
Yeah, exactly.
They can foresee like we're going to damage not only ourselves but the state itself because it's going to create a precedent by injunction where they're going to bar, meaning set the standard against us, and it's been done, but different ways in different shoots. But the only thing is that I figured out how to connect all those high success rates into one fluid, be-all, end-all mechanism. So they're all standing around you, but you're the epicenter. So when you vibrate, that's where the earthquake starts to shake from. It's up to you. You know what I mean? But you're in control.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? It puts you in a high control position because the liabilities are too high, and none of them are going to have any indemnification for it.
Right.
And it's not the same way everybody else does it, where they go into the fucking courts and running a fat lip. Hey, Boris, you didn't have to sit there and debate with these guys. A lot of them.
No, it's all on paper.
Oh, he did.
That dude's hearing happened all on paper. The only thing he did in court was verify it.
So you got two verifications, meaning two different instances that it won, and everything everything regarding that matter, Okay, let's take that and put it to the side. Does the method work? Yes. Is it a complex method? Of course. But, could you pick it up off the ground if you're witty and just launch it and will it work? Of course. That means everything I'm saying is fact-based and it holds its ground. Look, you're never going to find anybody who's going to show class this precise with this rate of, growth. 3 days. Do you see what I'm saying? 3 days of being around me. He was able to save someone.
No, 3 days we had our opportunity. Well, it wasn't even 3 days we had to go by. We got 3 days after I started learning this, it showed up in the mail. And we went, okay, there we go. We're going in.
See? That's it.
We didn't even have it for 3 days. I didn't even know about it until the third day of the class. That's why it took 3 days to do it. So we didn't have any way to do it. We were waiting. We were waiting for an opportunity to come to do it. And then lo and behold, my buddy, he sends over this email to me and has what he just got in from the court. And they had sent something answer to something before. And I looked at that.
Okay.
And I immediately thought of what I was learning with Raymond and went, okay, I know how to answer that. So I called him up and I go, this is how we're going to do it. And I wrote it up that night, sent it out that next day.
Hey, the coincidence is that, look, he ends up in a class where the communication from an ongoing fucking court case provided the opportunity that just so happened to allow what he heard fucking meet it, right? That's a response, right? The information in class was able to be used directly at that given situation, and it toppled. So it's a weapon of opportunity that presented itself because of circumstance. Lucky.
Yeah.
But either way, fucking you take anything that comes out of my mouth and you present it, I'm fucking set to come to Christ. For you, that's it. It's, judgment day. Period. And, now you got your alibi. My alibi, being able to tell you that, yeah, in fact, I've witnessed, I've even employed it. So my experience, which is limited around being around Raymond, he gave his experience, which allowed me to have the experience of being able to win. And, yeah, whatever.
Mikey, what do you think?
Oh, that's awesome, man. It seems like it was going down that route of having to go to the whole liability issues and, figuring out and asking the questions, considerations, and everything. But it seems like you guys brought it down to the basic denomination of
biggest point is that, again, Boris isn't Raymond. You see what I'm saying? He just had faith in what I said. And as a novice, amateur, not even, just opening his mouth, it changed the whole dynamics. That happens every time, 100% of the time. And the reason why is because you would never raise the issues that Boris issued unless you are who you say you are. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You would not be able to make the arguments that Boris made unless either you or someone you're close to is really the truth. It's like somebody saying they do fucking, I don't know, pick your highest level of math. And they come up to you talking like they're a fucking calculator. They're talking to you in freaking graphs. But when they're talking to you, although most people won't hear it, because they don't know what the fuck is being computed here. They're like, why are you talking like you're a fucking calculator? Okay, but anybody else that's trained in calculus, they guess what? Oh, they know exactly what you're doing. You're talking in function. Input, output, variables, balance the equation, get the result. find out the unknown variables. So you would have to have been exposed to those highest levels to even be able to interpret what's going on. And they were able to interpret what Boris was delivering, because what Boris was delivering was a highly calculated observation of their lack of resolve, with their own statutes being the charges and variables. When he presented it, they said, whoa, you would have never said that if you'd never been to a calculus course. That guy could probably push through and create the liability he talks about. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would have never happened, but since they want to keep going,
He would have never said it. No,
Yeah,
he
they
would have
want to
never
keep it.
said it if he didn't really know it or was around that kind of sphere of understanding.
Well, I knew about this guy. I just didn't know how to present it until I got the Raymonds class. It's really because he adjusts it to where you can present it. So it's almost like you're actually in real communication, because you can translate your thoughts into their words.
That's right. That's what comes.
You know, and it's really good, because then they can speak their language and your mind will automatically interpret.
So basically,
And you don't have to adjust your thinking.
right. And the cool thing is that it ended with them shaking your hand, having a meeting of minds, actually.
Well, shaking his hand. He didn't. I wasn't even there. They shook his hand.
Oh, they shook it. Oh, okay.
They shook his hand and you know, told him all that.
Hey, if the state is the whore of Babylon, Boris would be Cyrano de Bergerac. That makes sense, right, Gillet?
I like that one. That was good.
Yeah,
That one was good.
he wrote the love poems with the guy in the back. You know what I mean? So, oh well.
That's good stuff, man.
Then the other guys didn't get that. Basically, Boris was the pen and the artist, but he was the guy in the cut, not the guy that was presenting the words. The guy that was presenting the words in that story was a good-looking guy who had no game. He was not the Usher Raymond of the talk, but in the face, yes, he was. He was like Brad Pitt, but he didn't have that inner beauty that the wisdom of Cyrano presented. And so the guy would speak Cyrano's words in order to get forward in life with the woman he wanted.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. That's what that is.
Okay.
Damn, fucking Boris, you're badass. You fucking got that.
Yeah, we learned that in school. We were that played in school.
Yeah. So that's all. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, Mikey, you had some questions, I think, Mikey? Or?
Yeah. I was wondering, actually, because right now what I'm trying to do, so-called allegedly work on at the moment, is trying to get the so-called public utilities to begin, to be like, how you don't pay, then they shut it off, and then you keep calling and telling them, hey, if there's no claim, would it make sense to keep it on or whatever? And I've been trying to do that or whatever. It seems to be having a little bit like, it doesn't work that way. And so I'm thinking, maybe it's time to call up, probably their masters or the people they answer to. And because I just seen it recently when the whole COVID thing was going on, this whole emergency thing was going on, they released a newspaper on.
Excuse me. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Okay.
Yeah. They released a bunch of stuff saying that basically that they couldn't. There was a law, all these laws are coming out saying that the suppliers or the people providing the services can't turn it off for 60 days and stuff like that. And then it said right there on the bottom, it said, if you have any issues, somebody turns off the switch or it's not providing the service, call up the Public Utility Commission. And I'm like, that's interesting. What are they trying to say here? It's like, if somebody turns off the switch for no unknown reason, call the commission and ask to follow up an investigation. And so I'm thinking about probably doing that with, calling them up and saying, hey, basically, I believe I'm just trying to use these things and blah, 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 blah. I'm just, I just like to know who objects me using it, and would it make sense that I keep using it until somebody objects to the contrary, But I don't know if
given
I'm
the
just
fact
trying.
that we have a fake, and given the fact that there's a public policy standard right now as a result of said pandemic, that society is in the same situation as if, you had a family who had a mom who she had oxygen machines, and here comes the fucking utility company to cut off because she couldn't pay her life, including her life, because her life inherits danger. Okay, yes, that's an actionable tort. Did you know that?
It seems like, like that's what it seems like. That's what's going on. I believe.
That is an act. That is a tort. I'm telling you, it's a tort. That means, yes, you can sue for the threat on your life as a result of the utilities being shut off. Right now, we're in a blanket, meaning irrespective of your medical situation, there is a medical emergency in society. You can monetize. Is that
every state is basically signed under the emergency declaration. Every state took it upon themselves to shut it down. Therefore, since the state denied it, they got to supply it.
That's right.
You don't have the ability. You don't have the ability to fulfill on the contractual obligation. The state must fulfill for you.
Right, and it's not in the public's interest, right? Because it's not protecting the public trust. They have to reorganize.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what? This is your opportunity to fucking tell them, listen, this is where your accounting is lacking. You didn't take into account the stay-at-home orders and the quarantine, right? Are not allowing us to pay. Yes, we know that they're doing their commerce, whatever. But guess what? You cut off my utilities, or you're forcing me to be in there. Hey, you can sue the fucking state under the 8th Amendment for undue hardship.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's excessive because it's a public command right now. It is public policy. You will be policed on it. You can't generate the money. You can't go working. You can't do shit. The very few who have the opportunity to work remotely, that's just an opportunity that their situation provided. They're one of the lucky ones. But nobody can take a forward action to condemning you, okay, to an unfit situation. Does that make sense?
Okay. Well, there's that maximum, right? There's that maximum possibility. It's not required, huh?
It's the 8th Amendment. It's the 8th Amendment. I'm telling you exactly what it is.
Yeah.
The public officials commanded it, so it is now on them. They're trying to keep you safe. That's one thing. Okay, fine. You know what I mean? Keep me safe. But if they neglect by error or omission, it means they made an error. In this case, they made an error. And they inherently harmed you. Guess what? They have to compensate.
Or else it advances, and then it becomes the 5th Amendment taking.
No, it's not a 5th Amendment. It's an 8th Amendment. I'm telling you exactly what it is.
Okay.
It's an 8th Amendment violation. It's the same thing as having mold in a jail cell. And you're
okay. All right, that's right, because you're under confinement order.
That's right.
So
what about after emergency situation wears off, like it's pain all over?
Well, guess what? Hey, if you don't have any reason as to why your lazy ass didn't fix up the shit, that's another thing. But right now the state is the cause of it because of the restrictions, and even if they're not, that's a weapon of opportunity. Go ahead and finger paint that picture. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, yeah.
I couldn't make out what you said. You said what?
Given the circumstances, use the situation to your advantage. Hey, it's not like you can get out there and do anything about it any fucking way. Everybody's suffering. Go ahead and walk with the sheeple. and make yourself one of the aggrieved. Say that you're fucking can't pay your shit because situation doesn't allow, and situation always dictates. And since the government created the situation, they're putting you under a financial hardship, okay, because of their protocol, which is depriving you of being able to sustain your living conditions up to fucking whatever the hell the norm is, right? Like lights, running water, shit like that, substandard, and injuring you. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you can get a court to literally put in a stay or an injunction, a restraining order, temporarily, against any shut-off of utilities. See that?
An injunction. Okay.
They'll give you an injunction. That's right. It's the government's fault you're in this situation because they're restricting commerce.
Yep.
Everybody's going through it. It's widespread, widely known. This is popular right now. Everybody suffers. That's the popular aspect of your living right now. So if Uncle Sam is fucking you over like that, then where the hell in the Constitution do you have a provision that says that if Uncle Sam puts you in that kind of situation unnecessarily, fucking excessive fucking hardship? Where does it say it? Hey, it says it in the 8th Amendment. The state can't do that. What crime have you committed? You see what I'm saying? So then you could fix their public utilities. Right? They can't.
Yep.
With a restraining order. Or protective order. I.e. injunction. Trump. Right? The same way that somebody would have to stay in eviction. Does that make sense?
I believe so. Yeah.
Go ahead and say that you're suffering from it because of the mental stress, and you know what I mean. You'll get a few dollars extra.
We got Magnum on here. Magnum, can you talk or are you at work? So-called work. Are you essential, brother? What's going on here? Are you a man under essential corporations? Citizens file complaints to get state to recognize an injunction. Well, could it be it's actually the trust that's doing it instead?
No. You just do that. You just access the fucking deprivation of rights side. It's depriving you. You have rights. Okay?
Well, I think Magnum missed that part. Like, he didn't hear the story of the success with Boris, but Magnum, it was I guess a case where a guy was offering cheap spaying and neutered for cats and dogs or whatever pets, and they had long line out the door, and it was undercutting all the other guys in the area, so they wanted to come down on.
Well, no. The spay and neuter isn't his essential business.
Oh.
All those other people are there for everything else. They came in for all the offers it for anybody who finds a cat and dog. He'll just do it, so that way he can, they can run around. Where everybody else was doing it for $300, he was doing it for $30. But his clientele loves him so much over the years that they just bring everything, horses, everything. So, but he has all these people out his door. It's just amazing. But they came up and said, well, he's doing this and this, so he can't possibly be paying his people. And of course, hey, we need to sell the records.
Look, he so severely undercut the competition that he created an unreasonable, unjustifiable, way below the margin of fair market value for the same service that his competitors could not compete. And he wasn't licensed to do it.
No. He was licensed all the way. They just took it and suspended it. And during the period of suspension and everything else, he was operating.
Okay, that's cool. So say that. Okay, cool. Throw that on the table. Insert that shit wherever I heard.
Yeah.
Now, check this out. Hey, guess what? The bottom line is that Boris was able to look at the process, the due process, the procedure, and apply without strict guidance, without somebody holding his hand, methods that were presented to him as topics during his class.
Yep.
And he just weaponized it, saw it Like, okay, there's a weapon of opportunity to employ this concept, and it absolutely degraded the state's standing, position, and ability to enforce because of that lack of due process that they had. They didn't establish minimum context, which is the bare minimum for why venue and jurisdiction exists. So he took the rug from the court. I mean, he took the rug from under the court, and they acknowledged it. He made a very precise argument. Okay, his argument he based the matter. They even shook his hand, or the party's hand, who Boris did it for.
Yeah.
So that means Boris got it from me and was able to use it for someone else who was in the class, but they were not as sharp as Boris. And given the lack of experience of being in that class, that says a lot about the type of information that's being given.
Mm-hmm.
It's weaponized.
Did they come in? What did they come in this situation as? Like, did they come in as a citizen?
All right. No, he was the vet. They came after him personally. He has the vet has the license, everything else. So they came at him however they came at him.
I got him.
Yeah.
The state made their claim as the state would, and he stood there and beat them on strictly legal procedure. He beat them on the fundamentals.
Okay, so the
whole
state
fucking establishing of the case is a Frankenstein.
Right.
And because of being that idiot.
Yes, because the legislature already established the operation of law. So the legislature already said the intent of the statute.
So he didn't
that wording.
The sovereign process. He beat it. He beat them with
their law.
Viable legal procedure.
Okay, so he's just using their law against them.
Well, see the statute. The veterinarian statutes are very specific. The one for all administrative agencies is part of it. So you go to the administrative agencies. The intent was that anybody who otherwise qualified can do it by right. They can do whatever profession is regulated by right. So we go down to the veterinary one, and the veterinary statutes say,
First. He beat them as a litigator, a far superior litigator who respected them as litigators and showed their flaws.
Yep.
That's it. But
that's what I did.
Was there a fail-safe that would have still completely, let's say fucking Boris didn't have that concept, right? Is there a fail-safe in this process in which we can crush any case?
Yes.
And the thing about it is that it never got that far because, one, Boris only had 3 classes with me, and he just took that and it was enough. But if he had to go through the entire process, would it 100% destroy the situations that we confront or are confronted?
Yeah, and in fact, that one right there is going through the other part of that process because we've already got the agreement of the state that we're correct.
Wait, hold on. But no, she said that there was a second case.
Yeah, there was a second. Yeah, that's Department of Labor.
And that case was destroyed by the trade secret.
Correct.
Not as a litigator, but by the trade secret that I'm telling you guys.
Yeah. And now this one, and now we go back on the other ones, and we use the trade secret on the first one, and we collapse it. Yeah.
Of course, I'm just trying to get these prongs
I
can make. So, one, will you be successful as a litigator? Straight up as a fucking Johnny Cochran running in there talking your shit. Hey, the glove doesn't fit. Yes, you'll be able to beat it. 100%. But what we have is a trade secret, which got tested and it just released a case that Boris was witness of. Yes, that too, as I claim that it's bulletproof, it proved to destroy. You're never going to lose a fucking case. Hey, there's no lube for this Spartan spear about to stick up their fucking asses. How about that? Okay? Period. You will be just as good as a fucking U.S. attorney who has a high track record of success. You would be able to
like a Jay Gerlich, right?
Dude, you'll be that fucking party you just mentioned. You would be even his plural form.
I believe it, man. I believe it. Like, just all I needed was the premises, and it makes sense. I believe
it makes sense. Honestly, it honestly does make sense to me. I mean, I was like me and Dominic were talking about, like, the liabilities. We were talking about, like, identity theft, and then, like, considerations, like asking the right questions to get them into admitting, and then to just ask them, isn't that considered this? And then have them admit it, and so they can put their balls on.
Backing the fuck off. They can't show cause. They never will.
Yeah.
Because even if they were able to successfully prosecute their claim, you would still have an inherent viable claim that would supersede all of their claims. And that's the thing about this process, is that we figured out how to ground everything that jumps from Earth. We're the planet. They're stuck to it. Do you see what I'm saying? That's literally the nature of the situation. It doesn't matter from what part of the planet they jump. All they can do is jump. And they will always, 100% of the time, guarantee, without question, self-executing, they will be pulled back down to the mass. So this is operational law. Law doesn't actually consent to operate in the universe. It's just a factor. That's it. You know what I mean? There's no escape. It's the system. Make sense?
Would you say it's as powerful as the system, or it's?
This is the full employment and enjoyment of their system.
Okay.
To them.
So it's basically like the pinnacle aspects that you can use to basically be able to navigate the matrix for the ends that
look at it like this. Look at it like this. They all get paid as a result of what they do. That's the natural course of their business.
Right.
Right? So if the very thing, meaning that name on those documents, is the cause of the transaction for the accountant, meaning your ID, and you take your ID by law, which is allowed, and create a situation where it's recognized that that name is not just a name, but a mark of trade, as it is, because, well, they're obviously getting paid for running around talking about it. They can't escape the fact that they inherently get paid, because that's the whole fucking reason why they're there, which causes the situation of a transaction, which makes it a benefit.
So remember, what is any of their paper, plastic, or anything without the name on it?
Nothing. They don't even know who the hell they're talking about. Who the hell
exactly. Exactly. So once you remove the name out of the equation, what happens?
They have no claim against anybody, and that's the thing. If you want proof of that you can in fact take your name and turn it into an intellectual property right, because your intellect should be your property. It's not. You don't have a handle on your brain, your mind, your soul. You don't even know who you are. But because you do, and there's laws that say that, okay, I agree with you guys. You have a valid claim on your end. But mine too is valid, and these are equally true in this equation. So balance the equation, right? What are the variables? Hey, on your side, if A plus 15 equals fucking B plus 12, then we know that those values have to be something like, 0 or 1 or 2 or whatever the fuck the difference is. It doesn't mean that each side of the equation is unsolvable, even though there's variables. They both balance out. So you're going to hit them with debt while they're coming for a debt. And you're going to put all of them in debt. And they're going to inherit it because their business is inherently a fucking goddamn transaction. They can't escape that.
Well, that one thing I wanted to mention, I don't know if Magnum, if you're able to listen right now, if you're at work or whatever, but key thing that I wanted to highlight from the cases with Boris was at the end, the judge or whoever there shook the guy's hand, and he
right.
What did he say? He said, "You really what? You
You
know
said you do know you're right.
you do know
Yeah.
your rights." So could it be, people are looking for verification and but trying to guess out things based on the effects that they're doing, but these guys are telling him exactly. They verified it with them that there was an actual meeting of minds with these reps.
There is an acknowledgement.
Yeah, they acknowledged that what he was doing was correct.
Mm-hmm. So Boris, in his situation, pissed further than the prosecutor could. And the prosecutor is supposedly the master at the pissing contest.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, allegedly.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Mikey, did you have any other questions? Because I can't remember. There's like a couple at least. I don't know, but I'm trying to find the ones that I wrote down.
Hey, you'll be able to Hillary Clinton any felony as long as you didn't really kill somebody. You're not a terrorist. I'm telling you, bleach spit it all. What subpoena? You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
And nobody will want to move because of the liability. Anybody attacks Hillary, not that I'm a fan, but anybody attacks her, they have some political hardship waiting for them. Full-blown capacity.
Did she
All
trademark
has to
the
do is
name?
You know what? All politicians often trademark their names.
Okay.
Look it up.
The thing
So
I
this
wanted
is-
I
So
wanted to
this
also.
is a structural. This is a structural and fundamental thing that most people who are there to lead the society are privy to, because of the fact that they have to be able to preserve their position as a representative.
Mm-hmm.
This is how they establish their immunities. This is how they qualify themselves. This is how they set up, situations where it becomes highly
Volatile.
hey, how about this? Hey. It becomes of too much risk
Mm-hmm.
to try to be, correct in this situation.
Mm.
Because they're going to be able to hit you with something that's correct too, as a result of you trying to be correct. And so if you speak first, you lose the negotiation. That's really the situation they're in. They spoke first and they lost it. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like the Wolf of Wall Street, right?
What?
Whoever speaks first.
Had they never came after you, they wouldn't be in the situation they're in. So judge not lest you be judged.
I could see this being
And you can materialize that content.
I could see this being so fun though.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, have you guys heard about those, what's it called? The Second Amendment auditors going out there fucking, I don't know if you guys seen those videos. It's,
They walk in the street, open carry. And cops act like they fucking got tampons all over them and they're fucking start bitching and
they start charging, yeah, and then the cops comes and I guess they're winning like lawsuits with the cities and stuff like that because they're violating their, it's just interesting
look,
stuff.
in California, didn't I show you guys that case where that cop arrested that individual for being a passenger in the vehicle? Right? Showed that to y'all. He's a passenger in the vehicle. They wanted his ID. There was no law that compelled it. Therefore, law enforcement isn't enforcing the law. They arrested him, demonetized him, 4 hours in jail, $15,000 it cost the city. So you're going to welcome everything up to that point. But anything further would be a riding king beat down, so stay away from that. Don't aggravate it. But any type of nuisance like that, you'll actually welcome it because you're going to get paid on it. And you'll have the confidence and the know-how to execute and monetize those fuckers for their fucking transgressions. You'll get compensated.
See that's the other part of it is like it just seems like other approaches don't really act like they're going after to raid the name, or the the intellectual property of the name.
They don't attack it on that premises. They don't even understand that type of theory or mechanism. They haven't gotten there yet. So they don't have not even the foundation to create what they're trying to.
Is it true that legal is the undoing of God's law?
Well, why do you think we're hitting them with shit that's of the mind and the spirit and free will? You can, with your free will.
But is it?
You know what I'm saying?
Is it? If one is going after the paper, the legal tender, then is that moving forward or?
Well, think about it. The only way that you could pay anything on this fucking platform is by obligation, right? Contracts are promissory.
Is that true?
You get a promissory. Yes, contracts are promissory. Google it.
Well, who's claiming I need to pay anything?
Dude, check this out. Well, look, the only way you can offset or gain relief is either you prove you're not liable for the debt, or you can compensate the party for the grievance to such a degree where they're satisfied and you don't have to pay with your ass. Two remedies, right?
Well, again, until you meet a claimant, who's going to claim they were harmed?
What, are they coming after you with the debt obligation every time you're being charged? You're trying to figure out what gives them that, right?
Are they coming after the name, or are they coming after the body?
And that's the thing. They're coming after both.
Coming after
both.
You
know what I'm saying? They're coming after both. So you have to create a scenario with those guys that are coming after you that would jeopardize them equally.
Well, what evidence do you have they're coming after both, brother? What evidence do you have they're coming after?
The presumption is that because you use the name, it's you.
There you go. That's it.
You know that.
There you go. That's it.
Because you use the name that it's attached to the body?
Well, the presumption is because you use the name, then they're assuming that you believe it's you, and that's why they would that's why they might even put you in confinement for.
All right, here we go.
Hours, right?
Could all right, I got it. No. Could it be they're trying to attach that name to you, thus put a trademark on a living man, and that would be the violation of the golden rule at that time?
No.
And who's the only one that can do that?
No.
Who's the only one that can do that?
Listen.
Who's the only one that can do that? Who's the only one that can attach the name to the body?
Look.
Who's the only one that can do that? That's an easy question, isn't it, brother?
There we go. There you go. You're the only one who can do it, but when someone else does it, they get repercussions for it. Maybe that's what he's talking about. And maybe if you can wrap your head around that, when someone doesn't actually have a claim against you, there's actual violation going on there. You can move beyond that one point.
Listen. I get his point. What I'm
saying
is, he said, who's the only one that can do that? Right? I get your point. But this is why it's happening. The reason why it's happening is because there's a lack of presumption being broken. I mean, there's a lack of breaking the presumption, right? And out of your face, you have to be able to say,
presumption?
A minute, hold on.
How would you break the presumption, then, brother? I can't help it. There's a presumption.
That's what I'm getting to. Listen, and you can only break that if out of your face you can articulate and present articles that they can take into consideration as to why your name is not your identity per se.
Wait a minute. Your name. Why even go there? Jake Ehrlich. What did Jake Ehrlich say? That birth certificate is nothing but fucking hearsay.
Dude, it's a presumption.
Okay, on the part. Do I have some obligation to act on else's presumption? Hey, you owe me $10,000.
No, hold on.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
Okay, go ahead, please.
They're making the presumption, right? But they're going to give you a trial.
Wait a minute. Are they just simply asking a question? What is your name? State your name for the record.
They're not just simply asking a question, because the question is disguised as a question, but they're making an affirmative stance regarding their inquiry, which degrades a question. It's more rhetorical, creating rhetoric. Bullshit. They already chose.
Illusion, Magnum.
Yeah, they already chose what they're going to do. What's up to you is for you to be smart enough to present to them in a way that you can communicate in their system for their language. Okay, it's not I didn't create it, but you have to communicate for them in their language why they're fucked up. This is how you do it. You have to be able to break the presumption. If you create an intellectual property right over the name, then it shows that it's a mark of trade. Think about the word intellectual property. How can you be of sound mind if you're not that you are? Do you know what I mean? You are just who you are. They are IDing you or trying to ID you for charges. What mechanism do you have that could degrade their interest as a result of creating a superior interest on your behalf? You see what I'm saying? They're coming with a debt.
You're somehow tied as surety to their creation. To their creation.
Right. So communicate it right now. Communicate it right now how they're liable.
There you go.
Who's claiming?
Is somebody making a claim here?
And they're going to say the state's making a claim. The people are. But by their process and procedure, that's how their trust operates. So they're just following protocol, and they're not going to revolt against their trust. So you need to create a situation that that their act on its face, by them doing their job.
You're talking about their presumption, that you're making a bunch of presumptions?
Isn't the presumption that they're making, fundamentally false? That's why
I know what presumption they're making. If they're simply asking a question, how could that be a presumption?
Because they can just create discretionary. They have discretionary loopholes, right? That even if you don't confirm, right, their question or their inquiry, if they have probable cause or believe to have probable cause, they even have up to 3 days of qualified immunity to wrap you up so they can get to the bottom of it.
Okay. So what?
Do you see what I'm saying?
So what? Could that be the testing phase?
Yeah, but that's evident. Could that be evidence that they're wanting to attach it to the body?
If somebody came up and said, "Gee whiz, what's your name?" and you said, "Oh, geez, what evidence is there that I have a name?" and they go, "Oh, okay, so you understand how the game works then. All right, I'm just going to leave you alone then. All right, you have a nice day."
No, that's not how it works.
Now, do you really think that guy isn't going to go and tell all of his buddies, "Hey, man, all you got to do is just do what I just did," and they're going to walk away? No, the integrity of the system. It seems to me the integrity of the system, there has to be a test. Because the riffraff ain't getting through, like Gordon Hall used to say. The riffraff ain't fucking getting through.
Right, and I'm in agreement with you right now. All I'm saying is that what you are saying is not wrong. I'm just saying that what you would need, okay, to break their qualified immunity of being able to make said presumptions in the interest of the state, I can create. So I can make it that it would not be in their interest to be presuming as such, and that they would have to go back to the doctrines of innocent before proven guilty.
Brother, when can I meet this guy? When can I meet this entity, this man that's making a presumption that I'm anything?
Hey, let me ask you a question. I know that you're not a member to it, nor are you obligated by it, but you do enjoy a lot of the freedoms that it preserves by creating a limit on the government. Do you not enjoy the Constitution at all?
You ever hear a guy named Lysander Spooner? What does that Constitution?
No, I'm asking.
What does that piece of paper have to do with me, bro?
That's right. But here's the thing. Hold on. Here's the thing.
Okay. All right.
What does that piece of paper have to do with you? Well, here's what it has to do with you. Nothing. What it has to do with it is it creates a limit on the parties, i.e., the government officials and all those members that act for the state.
Could it be, brother,
But the problem is
that the words of Jesus put a limitation on that, and not some shit that was created by a man or a couple of men or a group of men calling themselves founding fathers or what have you?
But look.
Okay.
Although your mind and although your existence is not obligated to that Constitution, which is independent of you, right? Those public servants will put a fucking gun to you for their beliefs. Not in whether they're right or wrong.
Believe me, I've had guns on me, bro. I've had a gun on me before, so you know, I've been there, done that. Bought the T-shirt.
Right, and it's going to continue happening. Now, what I'm saying is that I have a by far more optimum route that one could take to discourage any actor from trying to obligate you as a result of their own obligation, considering
Let me ask you
that by logic, they're independent.
Let me ask you this. Allegedly, their whole system is commercial, correct?
That's right.
Mammon is commercial, right? Okay.
It's commercial.
So is it true that insurance runs the world?
That's right.
All these people are supposed to be insured and bonded?
Security has to be presented for that position in case of a negligent or intentional tort.
Okay. So somebody's giving you a hard time about something or whatever. You know, I'm led to believe that one of the maxims is that sacrifice is a measure of credibility. Where's your sacrifice?
Your sacrifice, okay?
No. I'm asking if some dude's going to come up and try to start making fucking claims. Where's your sacrifice? The one making the claim.
He's sacrificing himself.
He's sacrificing at least his so-called bond, right?
That's right. He's sacrificing himself because if he doesn't bring in a proper claim or has an abusive
There you
legal
go.
process.
So give a shit if the state's going to say something. Because I don't know about you, brother, but I've never met a state.
I agree with you. That's their concept. It's been constructed.
You want to make a claim? You want to make a claim here? Fine. You know, or you're going to what? You're going to file a complaint or whatever. You know, whine is synonymous with complain. Who are you complaining to? Daddy?
Hey, I agree with you.
You're going to file a claim. You're going to make a claim. And if you're going to make a claim, if you're going to make a claim, could it be that only a man can make a fucking claim?
Okay,
and so talking about a man, you know, because apparently there are different types of man, right? I don't know if you're familiar with Alfred Dask or not, but he has this very interesting paper called "Man or Other Animals," where they were coming after, you know, his so-called name, right, and claiming that he was a man, but or other animals. So, in other words, that type of man was allegedly an animal, but he then separated it out. He said, wait a minute. I'm a Genesis 1, verse 26 through 28 man, not this animal that you're talking about.
Right. Okay, so that's cool. Okay, so you clarified mental competency and the ability to rationale. And, okay,
well,
you're essentially
he's still illegal. As far as I can tell, he's still messing around with legal.
Okay, so that's cool.
That name ain't mine. You know what I mean? So interesting.
Hey, but let's say they're flawed in their approach. They're overreaching, overstretching. You just want to be left alone. Okay? And let's say you need to have a convincing strike against them that would cause them to agree that, you know what? It's not in the public's interest for us to be usurping these authorities that we so claim. It is a trespass. You would still need to be able to prove that trespass is viable even in their system, which means you need to come to an agreement for them to stop. They have to agree, because if not, the disagreement is the quarrel. That's the controversy, and they're creating it. So I'm just saying, 100% of the time, hold on, 100% of the time, that's the hardest part. How do you get those obligated parties to not try to compel you under that obligation? And that's the remedy I do have. I know how to speak to them in a way where we can agree civilly so that they can come to terms and have that meeting of the mind so we can have an understanding. Without that, we might be correct. But every Jesus had a Judas. Every God had a Satan. And Superman's in a wheelchair. Do you see what I'm saying? So it happens to the best of us.
The point that I was back to was, could it be that if there is no claim, because I've heard sometimes that there actually aren't, like, quote unquote verifiable claims that are filed, right? In other words, it seems to me like if there's no bond, then there's no so-called claim or complaint or whatever, because there has to be insurance to back that up, right?
They're doing it by operation of law. The statute is the bond.
I don't know about all that.
That's what they're using. That's what they're doing. They're applying the statute to the nature of the situation, because that's the system that they evaluate.
So basically, they basically use the statutes and the codes to interface God's law.
It's a rubric.
So their statute has a bond behind it.
That's right. The statute comes in the form of a bill, and then when it's registered, it becomes a public bond. And that's why people get sticky taped to the fucking charges.
And Magnum,
that's it.
Magnum, the other thing he was really interesting he was going through the other day was, or yesterday, was he was talking about, instead of the courts being debt collectors, they're actually clearinghouse assessing debt liability. So they're basically an ACH clearinghouse that are going to clear the funds on who's going to get it, because they're obligated. They need to have the obligation met or whatever. If they're hearing.
Yeah, it has to be evaluated to be fit for public consumption. I.e., they're making a fucking contract become a tradable security on the public platform. That's what they're assessing.
Like
what is it worth?
Was really interesting. He was going through, like, he's tying together a lot of this kind of floaty concepts that the brothers throw around, but he ties them all together like current equals currency equals energy, and he attaches it to the paper in the sense that because of the contracts, like how the contracts connect to the paper and the statutes and all that as energy, and basically the more if whoever can basically capture energy the most equals the most wealth.
That's right. That's right. And so we have to hold the obligated parties to their obligation.
What
do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I keep coming back to the idea of render their to Caesar. What's his? Render to God what's God. In other words, this whole monetary system. To me, all right, the way I see it anymore is that the monetary commercial system is nothing but Matthew 6 verse 24. You can't serve God and mammon.
Yeah, but he did.
All right,
he commanded you have to use worldly wealth to make friends in heavenly dwellings.
Wow. Look, so you guys are asking the right question. But what if I can help you take that question?
What's worldly wealth, though? Does that mean money?
It means
no.
Well, yeah, he's saying you can't serve mammon, but you can use mammon. He's saying, and the thing is, like, when you're looking at all of it, and it's all run basically on fraud, based on silent acquiescence or pushing things through sticky tape. If it's all run on that, and like it doesn't, like I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, I was
Yeah,
like, look,
so you're
there's
saying
some
it.
stocks I could
Awesome.
look at, and I could probably make some money off, or so-called money off of it. But should I, right? And I was asking, I was like, but it's all bullcrap, right? But then again, I thought back on what Jesus said: use worldly wealth, and the examples he gives is of a shrewd manager.
Mm-hmm.
If you read the parable, um, he's saying learn from this shrewd, wise,
Mm-hmm.
crafty manager what he does there, and he's basic. It seems like he's basically saying you're going to have to engage in the world, not of the world, but in the world, and actually use it.
Mm-hmm.
We're say all these
Mm-hmm.
stocks that you involve yourself in, it's all fraud and whatever bullcrap. But if you can use that for good intention, you can extract that money and reinvest it into the kingdom.
Right.
Then what else can you do? Because
That's
this whole
right.
world is corrupt anyway.
Because bottom line is that in a society, you have to be social,
Yeah,
at least to such a degree that you can communicate for your preservation of peace.
and he
Do
talks
you see
about
what
you
I'm
have to
saying?
love your enemy. So it's like a little bit more than just even that minimum if you want to follow what he says. So yeah.
Right.
So,
You
all
guys
right.
have
So
the
there are brothers
perfect
that are out
concept.
going to like Walmart or whatever, filling up carts, walking out, what have you. It works. All right. Now, does that mean that it's what a man is supposed to do? You know, if he has so-called dominion, or could it be that
No,
in
you're
order to
supposed to
protect the
be
system,
the
in order
manager.
to protect the integrity of the system, in other words, could it be that if everything, and I like to think of it this way too, is everything is voluntary. This entire system is voluntary. You can either volunteer to be a part of it or be outside of it. All right, but the default seems to me like the default position is you are deemed to be in the system until you prove otherwise.
That's the presumption.
Essentially.
That's the
That's
presumption you were just talking
right.
about. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, there you go. Right,
Right.
exactly. Until you break the presumption. So in other words, and that makes perfect sense.
Mhm.
But
Mm-hmm.
so rather than going into a grocery store and breaking that presumption, because like Teddy Roosevelt said, you can't avoid being governed. You're either going to be governed from within, or you're going to be most assuredly being governed from without. So you make the choice of how you want to be governed. So could it be that the system is set up for those that choose not to be governed, not to govern themselves? So then they put the burden on their brothers to govern them, right?
You are correct.
So rather than have a brother who says, no, I can self-govern, and he knows who he is, and he goes into the grocery store, and he doesn't have the two elements for there to be a crime, the act plus the intent. Where's the mens rea? Well, if I'm walking out and I'm not putting the shit underneath my coat, what does that tell you, right? Prima facie evidence, nobody's using it, there's a price tag on it. Hey, anybody have a problem with me using it? Thanks a lot, have a nice day. But in order to protect the integrity of the system, perhaps, that's where that black card comes into account, or whatever. Don't, like you said, Dominic, don't be afraid to use the worldly wealth or what have you. Okay, fine. Then why don't you provide a black card so that I can go and get the things that I'd like to have dominion over, and I'm not raising any red flags with those who are still, choose to be within the system.
You can ask.
Well,
makes
all
sense.
You can ask, but how many
is
do
the
you know have them?
instrument of conveyance.
What's that?
You're using acceptable. Listen, you're using acceptable instruments to convey your intention, and those instruments are deemed by the social order as acceptable conveyances. So the only thing you're doing is meeting them at what they perceive as value, so that you can get a desired result. That's all it is. Okay? And so you need to just be able to manage your situations in such a way that they can see it as valuable, not degradant, not hostile, and they can accept it as something for consideration. So we're just speaking Roman to the Romans, Chinese to the Chinese. But our intent is that of clean hands, goodwill. And if we can convey that successfully with their instruments and hold them to task in acknowledging the obligation of our right, because in order for there to be a claim of right, there must be an obligation owed, whether it's to observe or perform. If we can meet them there, then we've already agreed while we were on our way. Because if not, we'll be sent to the jail, right? Jail to the bailiff. There you will stay till you pay your last penny.
Yep.
And so these are just fundamental rules. Do you know what I mean? So we're just communicating as merchants in a commercial system. And we have a better communication because I'm going to show you how to communicate in this system for your convenience, your conveyance, and an agreement. They can stay in their lane and acknowledge your right to be in yours. Does that make sense?
So what you're suggesting then is on a case-by-case basis as things come up. So what I'm suggesting is that there's got to be a way to interface with, like you said, the Romans. Speak Roman to the Romans, right? Whatever.
There is.
Okay? Resolve any potential, let them know at the outset that you know how to speak Roman. You know what's going on.
That's right, and that's what Boris did. He communicated to them on an instrument, a document that was acceptable, motion.
You know, I want to find out about what happened. It must have been freaking 10 years ago now. I remember Boris talking on a call, said that he was talking to a so-called agent. He was getting a little antsy. The agent said, calm down. We're bundling everything together, all these different cases and everything going into one case file. He said, if you just chill out for a little bit, you'll be able to write your own ticket. Like I said, it had to be at least a decade ago now. So what does that mean? And what happened with that? Boris, you still there?
I think Boris is probably slamming a turtle onto another turtle in order to cause the bottom turtle to have a concussion. But I don't know. Boris, you there? Nah, he probably had to go and fucking
Do something.
save the entire realm of existence right now. Hey, but look at this. But we agree, dude. Truthfully, and I'm not trying to push the fact that we agree. We do agree because I agree with everything that you said. Nothing you said is materially false. It's not bad inquiry. It's logical. It's awesome. Okay? I can help you articulate what you're questioning in such a way that you'll get the desired result. That missing piece right there, I can do that. I can create it. I can craft it for your communication. Does that make sense?
It's going to cost me.
It always costs, even if it's just time and attention.
Right.
Right? It's going to cost energy.
Well, if it's FRNs, bro, then, you know, I'm...
Hey, everybody says that, and I'm highly flexible.
Well,
I wish Boris was here right now because he's negotiated.
I don't know, because like I said, I came in late. I don't know exactly what you guys were talking about before.
I wish you heard it. You came in right after he was done, man. Good stuff.
Look, Boris, you know, usually I don't talk numbers, okay? Because I don't charge per se. Current is currency. There's ways that people can offset things with me. I take whatever's of value. Does that make sense? So what do you have of value that could equate? And your offering is going to reflect what this means to you. And if all you can do is what you have, meaning whatever the circumstance is, maybe a little bit of this, maybe a little bit of that, maybe a conversation here that might ignite a situation there, right? Hey, guess what? If it's of value, go ahead and communicate that shit and we'll put it on the table. I'm very flexible.
Negotiations.
Weirdly flexible.
Oh, but I was trying to ask, or I was attempting to ask when you were talking about the black card. It's like, yeah, but how many guys do you know that use one? That would even tell you that they use one?
Well, see, that's it.
Black card, like the Treasury Direct, the MasterCard.
Well, like the one, like the you basically use
Or the
it
myth.
and it gets discharged every night.
No. Look, no. Listen, the Treasury MasterCard, for their, they used to have it for their legacy accounts, but you could go to their website right now. What they do right there is that they take the interest accrued on obligations, and that's what gets bounced off of your securities. All the obligations for the FRN are on bonds that are with the Treasury. And certain bonds that you have control over allow for you to tap into its liquidity. But all those bonds are just contracts that are floating around. So what are you invested in? That's what's going to give you that amount.
Does that make
They
sense
don't
to you,
just
Magnum?
clear people. Listen, they don't just clear the debt. What it is you have an obligation, and you're pretty much at the Treasury's window. So it's a source. So they convert the security into whatever it values at. But they don't just throw shit away.
Yeah, that might be the mechanism. I remember talking to a PayPal rep, and I asked him straight up because he didn't sound like a drone. I was like, brother, you sound like pretty awake, like you know what's going on. You don't sound like a drone. I told him that. And he's like, thank you.
There's an American Express, right?
Yeah, the
card.
American Express, yeah.
Right. That you do have an unlimited amount on it, but you have to be spending $100,000 a fucking month or so or some shit like that. I forget exactly how much it is. And the bottom line is this. Look, all that means is that you got that much current. In order for you to rate that instrument, you have to have that much current going through your negotiations, your business, right, that you're conducting. You have to rate it to have access to it. And it's different than a regular credit card. There's mandatory minimums.
Right,
Does that make sense?
Could it be that's why the big dogs get one?
That's right, because they are the fucking
They're pushing a lot of energy
controllers,
there.
the platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Including their workers, their hopes, their dreams, people who are trying to engage them. Right?
Mm-hmm. But the one thing that the PayPal reps guy said was, I was like, look, you seem pretty awake. What do you think of this? You ever seen this where basically there's an account that has a star next to it or some sort of marking that specifies that it's special or unique, and what happens is they fill it up during the day and then it gets discharged at the end of the night or 24 hours. Have you ever seen that? He's like, yep. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I've seen it. I was like, well, what is that called? He said, I'm not authorized to tell you. I know what it is. I know how it works. I know it's real, but I can't tell you. I'm not able to tell you. It wouldn't be professional for me to.
Well, are we talking to a boy or are we talking to a man?
The PayPal rep, he was like training to be a supervisor or manager or something like that.
So he just wasn't giving you the financial secrets because on their line everything's recorded.
Yeah, of course.
And that would be part of their leveraging, part of their.
Yeah.
That's their. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. But here's the thing, and then also, I mean, that mechanism right there, they're all bound to that shit anyway because that is a trade secret, and that trade secret is considered intellectual property.
Exactly.
It would be a corporate espionage.
Right, exactly. So he didn't tell me. He wasn't going to tell me. I didn't expect him to. I should have asked him if he could connect me to someone who can, but I was kind of new to this thing, you know. But so yeah, I mean, it seems like they are out there. But I mean, I get the idea that like it seems like the only way they would have an interest in doing that is if they felt like you could put out some sort of volume of interest.
That's right.
Because you want to reinvest. I would think that they would only want to give it to somebody who's going to reinvest in infrastructure.
Why do you think Jeff Bezos is immune to the fucking juggernaut of taxation? Because he's creating so much current that he is a community asset.
Who?
Jeff Bezos. His existence and what he can construct causes so much current to go through it and interest for goods and services that it would be a fucking like terrorist attack on the interests of the United States, pretty much, to have a guy like that subjugated